Hello everybody! Happy Art Day! Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm sure glad you did. So here in the United States, we have a really great holiday just around the corner. That's right, Thanksgiving. Now Thanksgiving is a celebration that we have with our loved ones, our families, and our friends. And it's characterized by an overabundance of food. That's right, a whole bunch of food. So much that you can hardly eat it all, and you probably need a nap afterwards. In Greek mythology, this idea of abundance is symbolized with a cornucopia. Now this isn't actually a cornucopia, it's an actual goat horn. But in Greek mythology, there's a really large goat horn that would be overflowing with flowers and food and vegetables just to characterize abundance. So we're going to take that idea of this cornucopia and create our own collage. So you can see here, I've drawn a cornucopia, and then I've cut out a bunch of different images of food that I like to have it overflowing with all that goodness. Now, so we can get inspired, let's look at a couple examples of this abundance from art history. Let me grab my book in closer for a little closer look here. So, I'm going to show you a couple Dutch painters. This is Frans Snyder, and you can see here that he has this painting, and this table is just overflowing with birds and cuts of meat. We've got Willem Koff, he's another Dutch painter. And you can see he has this really fancy table. Ooh, ooh, ooh. With his own goat's horn here. And a lobster and a lemon. That sure seems like a nice meal. And then lastly, we got John Davids de Hem. And I'm sorry if I'm completely mispronouncing these. I don't speak Dutch, but this is another idea of a really abundant, beautiful, overflowing table just full of fruits and vegetables. To inspire us for our own collages. Well, now that we're inspired by those cool paintings from art history, let me tell you what we're going to need for today's class. We're going to need some paper and maybe a couple different kinds of paper. We're going to need a pencil and a pen, some scissors, two different circles to trace, one big one and one smaller one, a glue stick, and then some magazines to find some of our pictures of our favorite kinds of food. Now you could also use newspapers. A lot of times there's ads of sales going on with different foods in the grocery store. And if you can't find any food you like in magazines or newspapers, feel free to just draw your own, okay? So before we start, let's do a little stretch and some breathing so we're really nice and focused and ready to make our artwork. Okay, everybody breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe out one more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Woo! Feels nice. Let's roll our shoulders back. And then roll them forward. And let's stretch out those fingers and arms. Oh! Well, that felt good. I'm feeling focused and ready to go. How about you? Good. So first we're gonna do, as you can see, I have two different collages here. One, I actually drew my cornucopia out before I placed all my favorite foods around it. And the other one, I used a really cool texture paper and cut out the shapes to make my cornucopia. So we'll learn how to do this one with our drawing first, and then you can apply the same thing if you have a fun textured paper, or maybe you see a really cool basket pattern and all the pieces of magazine that you were about that you can use to make a collage cornucopia. It's up to you. We're going to start by drawing our actual cornucopia. Okay, so I have this real nice piece of brownish paper here that I'm going to use because I think it looks a little bit like what a basket would be made out of. And I want my circle, the opening of my cornucopia, to take up a good amount of the page just so I can have a lot of food coming out of it. So I'm going to use this bigger circle right here to start my drawing. Now I want to leave room to draw this kind of triangle curve shape over here. If I was doing this at home, I would be using my pencil first, but I'm going to do it all in pen and just use a thin mark and then a thicker mark so you can tell the difference. So first I'm going to trace my circle. Now I want the edge of my cornucopia to be a little bit thicker instead of just a thin hole. So I'm going to put my smaller circle right here so I can have a nice edge of the opening of my cornucopia. So just try to find the center. And don't worry if it's exact, because you're going to be covering the whole collage with cut out pieces of your favorite food and flowers. So now I have my two circles, and I'm going to draw kind of a triangle that curves a little bit. So I'm going to start at the bottom and go up. Now maybe I want it to curve a little bit like it has a tail. And then I'm going to bring in just maybe somewhere from the top. Don't worry again about it being perfect. You can always just draw another one if you're unhappy with it. And I'm bringing it kind of like it's a triangle and then making it come up to that end. Okay, so that's my basic cornucopia shape. And again, if I was doing this, you could leave it like this, or you can make it way more fancy by adding the texture of a basket. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some texture so it looks like a basket. So I'm going to be using my thicker end of my pen here so you can see the difference. So I think a good trick is to think about making little C's along this inside here of our cornucopia. And you know, when you look at a basket, it looks kind of wavy. It's not like a flat, smooth line. So we're going to have our C's come up over that line. So again, if I was doing this at home, this would just be pencil and I'd be using pen to go over this part. Or maybe I do the whole thing in pencil first and then go with pen. It's up to you. So here we go. Just making some C's. And I'm going to go all the way around the rim of my basket here. And maybe something else to think of is you would want the space to be a little bit closer here and a little bit more spread out at the top. Because then we're giving the illusion that it's rounded. So that's when we trick our mind, we trick our eye to think that something's three-dimensional when it's not. Okay, so I got this little texture going around the entrance to my cornucopia here. I want the body to have a little bit of a basket texture too. So I'm going to use that same idea of C's or having a curved line to go over the whole thing. And again, don't stress too much about this. You could just leave it as is and not worry about it at all. It's just really up to you how fancy you want it to be. So again, I'm making a curved line so it looks like that the cornucopia has some shape that you could actually fill it with some food. It looks okay. Now I'm going to put some hatch marking in here so it gives it a little bit of depth. Okay. Now you can do the same thing if you have a really cool paper like I have this funky one, and instead of worrying about drawing all those marks, you can just use the paper. So you do that really similarly. You just make sure you have a big circle and then that little circle on the inside, and then we draw that kind of curved rounded triangle, and voila! So I'll cut them both out, and then you can decide which one you want to use. Now instead of drawing on this one to make it look like it goes inside, I'm going to just cut another circle out, the small circle of this darker paper, and paste it right on top there. Got my glue stick. Let's put a little bit of glue on the back here. So this would be my cornucopia made out of paper if you wanted to do a full collage. Okay, now I'm going to cut out this cornucopia. It's not perfect. I changed my mind on which way I wanted those lines to go. And that's okay. Maybe I'll block it with some flowers or something. So I'm going to cut out my drawn cornucopia now. And I'll probably use this one with my collage because I like how easy it is to see on that piece of paper. But like I said, you do what you want to do. It's your artwork, you know. If you want to cut and collage the whole thing, including your cornucopia, feel free. I mean, I think it's really relaxing to tear and to cut. It keeps me calm, and I could do it for hours. And again, I'm not worried about this being perfect. I'm cutting a little bit of this bumpy line out, but I do think that our drawing on there will help give it this illusion of texture of a basket without worrying too much about how we're cutting out our actual shape. Here's my cornucopia with the basket weave that didn't know which way I wanted to go. I'm going to do a couple more hatch marks in here to give it a little bit more depth. But again, we're going to cover the collage with all of our cutout images, so we don't have to worry too much about this. I got that. Now I'm going to grab my piece of paper. Now I don't want my cornucopia just to exist in this blank void. I mean, since it's a symbol of abundance and life, I want to surround it by flowers and vegetation. So you can see in this one, I put a bunch of leaves here in the back. And then in this one, I had some wildlife, some birds and stuff. So it's up to you. I would just think about, you know, some trees or flowers or even more food on the back, or you could have animals. Whatever you want. I've got some stuff already torn out over here, so I'll just probably choose some of these. Now to measure it, I'm just folding where my paper ends, and then flicking it on that crease and folding again, and then we'll just tear that real gently. Then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of this whole thing and stick it on down. So my cornucopia is going to be in a beautiful garden. Okay, now I need a little bit more greenery over on this side. So again, I'm just lining my magazine clip that I tore out with the edges of the paper here. I'm folding at the bottom. Now the other thing you can do if you don't want to tear it, you can put glue on the whole thing and we can fold it over. So how about we do that for this one? You know, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all about learning how you like to make artwork and what you think works best and what you think looks best. So I'm going to line this up with my top edge and my side edge here. And just fold it over. And that way I don't have to worry about measuring it. Now I just have this little bit of space here. Maybe I'll cut out a big flower to put there because that looks really pretty. There we go, that looks like it fits perfectly. So I'll put a little bit of glue here on the back. So now I've got my whole background covered so my cornucopia isn't just existing in a white void, it's in this really nice garden. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and put like a table down here so it looks like my cornucopia is sitting on something. I got this fun piece of polka dot paper so it can look like my cornucopia is on a table with a tablecloth. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that. Again, I'm putting it where I think I want that line to come, maybe right here. And I'm just folding it. So I got this crease. Like one side, now I'm going to crease it the other way. Nice and strongly with my fingernails here. And I'm tearing really patiently along this line. So I got my funky tablecloth right now and I just need to measure it to fit on my page. So I'm going to go ahead, fold it over here, and tear one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to put some glue down on here. And you don't have to have your cornucopia on a table. You could have it wherever you want. I just like this idea of having it sitting somewhere instead of floating. It was kind of like it's going to be on our dinner table out in the garden for Thanksgiving. So now I got my beautiful garden background with my tablecloth, and I'm going to go ahead and see where I want to put my cornucopia. I think I'll have a little bit of extra room on this side so I can have more stuff on the table. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and maybe I won't press it down super hard in case I want to put more things behind my cornucopia or just tuck in some edges. So now it's the fun part. We get to put in all the food we like. And you can also put in animals, because it's really just about abundance of life and food. And it doesn't have to be Thanksgiving food, because I feel like that would be really hard to find. But if you found that, that's great. So I'm going to start with putting some stuff inside. I got these greens. I really like this fish. It's kind of big. Figure out if I can find a way to put this in here. Maybe it can be coming in at an angle. We'll think about that. Ooh, I got some cherries. I'm going to put those coming down here like they're coming out. And now, my cornucopia looks like it's full of food, but I want it to be overflowing with food. So I'm going to have some stuff come up on the table here. I think we need something coming up over here. Looks like this is going to be the dessert side of the table. Now we're going to put some stuff on the other side of our collage here. I really like the way this is coming together. We get a little bit of the theme of the dessert on this side. So maybe we should get some more healthy food or substantial food on this side. Got some sweet potatoes here. I love sweet potatoes. Ooh, I ripped it. Now I feel like I should find something to hide that a little bit. That looks pretty good. Well, that looks pretty fun. I think you get the idea. You can keep on going because the cornucopia is about abundance. So you could just have the whole page just covered in as much food as you want. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's class. I hope you have a really nice Thanksgiving with whoever you get to celebrate it with. I hope you get to eat some really tasty food. If you like today's class, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. It really helps me continue making these classes for you guys. I would love to see your cornucopia collages. So please tag me on Instagram, snap a photo and send it to me in snail mail, or email me. I would love to see what you guys create. Thank you so much for making art with me today. I'll see you guys next week, okay?